He's just gonna lift the cab up and set it on the frame just to kind of see where we're at and measure some stuff, I guess. It twisted on him a little bit. I'm not sure why. The straps probably just shifted a little.
All right, sitting on the frame, and we got that radius down probably as close as we're gonna get it, because the bottom flares out and there's really nothing I can do with that. It's gonna have to stay. But we got this closed up nice, and you gotta remember, by the time I put Group 31 batteries in the front, air tanks, air dryer, cooler pack, motor transmission, and all that, we're probably coming down, I'll bet, 1.5 inches anyways. I'm happy with that. I think that's the look I was going for. We'll see where it's at then. If it's low enough, we're done. If it's not low enough, then we'll mess with the suspension. So all that's going to kind of wait. But let's get it in the shop now, and we can start working on making some front mounts for this thing. That is right where we cut the frame, so that works out very well. We're right at the edge there. Very cool. Very cool. We can't steer the front, so I got to do some creative grade all work to get it in, but it'll be all right.
I was gonna say, just keep coming in to where the back will get in and we can shut the door, and if you get too close here, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I think that's good for now. Let's go have some lunch, because I want to decide what we're doing here.
Okay. Okay. I wouldn't go anymore. Okay.
38 3/4, and this step is 9 1/4. So now I'll take the weight of the engine transmission off. Okay, what we had before, 38 and something. 38 3/4 maybe?
Yeah.
40 1/4, and 11. Okay, so now we know what it will be like with this on, plus it's going to be a little bit lower because I have it on the stands back here, which is not level. I want this frame to be level. So I think the front suspension, we're going to stop there. I wanted to use this because that's a motor, transmission, cooler pack. I mean, it's a few £100 extra worth of frame onto your side. But actually, if you figure the batteries, I'll have 2 or 3 Group 31s up front, and then air tanks, air dryer, air horns, all that stuff. All the accessory I'm gonna tuck underneath there if I can. But that's that gives us a pretty good idea of what it's gonna look like. That's pretty cool. I guess we'll take this back outside now. This gap got smaller, and then over here got wider because we were getting past the center line of the radius and the tire starts to go away. So in order to get this to fit better the way I'd like it to be, we're going to shove this thing back a couple inches so we can get our radius. You can see the crown of our radius is where it's the same is right about in this area. So if I can get that back to here, it should be good. And then we can, if I was a body guy, I'd take this flange, which is narrower here, and I would widen it, because you see how wide it is here? Look how narrow it is here. And that would help to close that up. And if we get low enough, we might just cut off part of that and not need all that down that low. We'll have to see how it goes. But I like where we're at, so now we got to cut the frame shorter and move this thing back a couple inches. Cab's back off, and we are working on cab mounts. Now, these mounts have to get down low and, you know, something pretty intricate for what I'm doing. So I don't want to just weld them through, and I thought about using a piece of box tubing going all the way across, because I need to come out this way 4 inches and 4 inches out on the other side. I can't put that box tube in there because I've got some stuff going on right there that it may be in the way. So what I've chose to do is take, you know, truck frame of course, and cut a section out of it. So the section that I'm cutting out is this. This is what we're gonna have. And because our bracket needs to go on at an angle, we're gonna take our truck frame underneath like such. We're gonna weld our brackets onto this. It'll make our cab mount actual hinge points sit where it's supposed to be. And then we'll drill holes through this and bolt it to here. Now this is also going to serve as my bumper mount. I'm able to shorten this up however much I need to. I've got at least 4 inches past the truck, maybe as much as 6 if I need it. But you can see where the bracket's going to go. And I'll show you what we're going to do here. So this is kind of what we're doing. We're going to come off of here. We're going to lay a weld on the inside and the outside, both. And then we're going to take braces and go and fill in this part here, stopping here, coming out kind of at an angle. I really don't want it coming past here. It'll look kind of weird. So otherwise I can kind of notch this up too. So if I make it straight to here, we can notch the bottom off, because this is the mount that needs to go there. Let's see if I can do this without letting it all fall to pieces. So you can see how much extra we have that I could just notch the corners off and it look good. But I need to get braces made for in here, because there's going to be a lot of twist right here. So right there, I need to have something. I'm just not sure what I want at this moment, so I'm gonna make it removable. But this is the next step. I gotta take these to drill press, drill out all my holes, and I set these two back so I could fill that weld, because this bracket is not a 90, it's a cast piece, so it's rounded. So I just made the edges barely overlap each other and then laid the weld in here inside and out. So let's drill some holes next. So you can see how I have my holes. This one I couldn't go in that line to be parallel. I had to come up because of the radius of the frame. Not only the radius of this, but the radius of this one. So I'd have to have enough room to get a bolt. I don't want to be too close to the bottom. So now what I need to do, well, you can see how I've lined it up. That's where I was hoping I would end up. Now I want to make another one of these, clamp the two back to each other, and then transfer these marks so they're identical. I want everything to be 100% the same.
He's making the bracket for the cab mount. He already got this one done. And he's working on the second one now.
I'm gonna tell you what, that is probably the best welding helmet I have ever owned. You can't imagine how clear this is when you're welding. So much better than my welder. Okay, so the outside's all welded. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Then we're gonna weld to this, but I want to do the inside welds before. About halfway decent. I want to weld the inside corners first before I weld it to here, because this is a lot easier to do, and I got 4 of them to weld. Okay, I've got the other mount finally all done and temporary into place. Now, if we've done everything right, we should have 15 degrees on that. That's what the original frame was. We're not sitting level right here, so we have to zero this out to take up for that because it's already tipped down. So now we're at 0. What do we got now? 15.1. I can live with that. That is just fine. So we've got bolts in this, and it's, you know, it's tightened up, but they're not long enough. These are just for mock-up. I can't build the cross member that goes in here quite yet. I need to put the cab on and then find out how I'm going to get the foot valve, because remember, we're going from hydraulic brakes to air brakes. We're changing all that over, and that foot valve is going to live in this area right here. We may have a throttle pedal coming through. I'm not sure. We may go drive-by-wire. I don't know where we're headed yet. But we definitely need a cross member down here at the bottom mounts, because that cab's going to be pushing on this. And if we don't have a cross member there, it's going to do this. If we leave a cross member there and not have one up here, I fear that we could crack the frame up here. This is just temporary. So that'll be next. As far as before we do the cross member, we got to get the air brakes in. Now, the next step of the process is going to be finishing up the frame. If you remember, we never welded the inside of this frame. This side we did, I welded the two uprights, the angles, and then welded, and then had Matt do some welding, and then I would weld back and forth, back and forth. And there was a lot of time in between the welds on this, so this one was pretty straight. We have a real slight hump right in the middle, but not a lot. It's very minimal, and it's pretty straight this way. I mean, like, I don't think we need to do anything. This side over here, I welded this upright, that upright, and then I let Matt go to town on this, and I should have slowed him down, because we ended up with a pretty good crown here that we're going to have to get out of it. So what we're going to do is use this I-beam and this piece of angle. A friend of ours, Justin, brought these for us, and we are going to put them on the top of the frame and on the side of the frame and get it all squared back up, and then go ahead and weld the inside. So as we weld it and we're laying the heat to it, it's going to hopefully come back to where we want. We should be able to get it with no troubles. I think I've made a decision on the suspension now, so we're going to move forward with that. We have our next group coming down, which is John and his girlfriend from Maine. They're coming down to be part of the build. So then when they get here, that's what we're working on. We're going to start with the frame up here. They're going to be here for 3 days, and we'll work about 8 hours a day, 9 hours, something like that. Hopefully we can get that frame handled on both sides, and maybe even get our suspension finished up. That'd be great. If there's time, we'll start on the back of the frame. I'm not sure we're going to get there, but I need to get this all buttoned up and straightened out beforehand, because I need to know where my steering gearbox is going to go, and I need to get all this buttoned up in order to figure that out, because there's not a lot of room here. The original steering gearbox was inside the frame, and the frame was 8 inches wider than our frame. Well, it just doesn't work out that we can end up with just moving this to the outside and it be 4 inches, which is half of the 8. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of you know, twisty-turny type of deal here, but we'll get it. It'll be all right. I just don't know where we're gonna put it. If we're putting it here, I need to plate it, stop, come in, or make sleeves for the gearbox here. But you can see our drag link isn't long enough, but we can fix that. If not, if I can't get it here, then that steering gearbox is going way back here, and that's going to be kind of neat. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and look forward to the next video in the series. I can't wait to put the cab back on this thing, but frame is next. So we'll have to get the frame out, take the suspension out of here, and we're going to stand it up on end and make all the welding a little bit easier. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you on the next one.